Hey y'all, it's Queen of O'Hara. Welcome back. It's good to have you back again. Tonight we are talking about 90 Day the Single Life, right? So these are people that were on 90 Day Fiancé. It didn't work out, so now they're still looking for love, okay? Season 1, episode 21, Chasing a Ghost. Okay? So, as you remember from last week, Ed asked Liz to be his girlfriend and then immediately after asked her to go to Vegas to meet his daughter. That is practically the same age as Liz. I think Liz may be a year younger than his daughter, but there's a year difference so either way. So Ed and Liz go to Vegas to see Tiffany, his daughter. Tiffany was pretty rude um, at the initial meetup. And then I guess the next night they went to a nightclub with Tiffany and some of her friends. And Tiffany was making like really rude comments to her friends about Liz, like sitting right next to her. So Liz says that she wants to leave, and Ed knows that she's upset. And he keeps pressing and pressing and pressing. And she's like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, for men, if there are any men watching, if a woman says she don't want to talk about it right then go with that. Okay. Or really when anybody says they don't want to talk about it, generally that means they don't want to talk about it. So he kept on. She goes to bed. The next morning, he wakes up and she's gone. This has happened to Ed before, right? Remember, Rose left him at the hotel resort they were at? So he doesn't talk to Liz for 4 days. And then he invites her over to his house so they can talk about where they stand. But for some reason, he goes and talks to his friend, who is a young lady, about the relationship, and then basically just says what she said to Liz. Like, oh, I think we need to work on our communication because that's what the friend said. So, Liz tells him that, she's like, you're a good boyfriend, but you don't listen. You don't listen. Listening is really important. Listening is really important. It's not just for kindergartners, right? Listening is for everybody. Put on your listening ears. So she says, you just don't listen. Then immediately after that, Ed says, am I your forever? Like not today, not next week, but like do you see me in your forever? Uh Generally you would be flattered if a man said that to you, but Ed saying it just comes off as creepy because he just is. But surprisingly, Liz says it's too soon to be asking me that, but yeah, I'm happy with you. You're my forever. Whatever. I think Liz is just trying to get herself out of uncomfortable situations. She obviously doesn't like confrontation. She's mentioned several times when he has said something like, you're causing me anxiety. Um, so I don't know. We'll have to see where this is going. The preview for next week's episode, it shows Ed and Liz on the beach, and he asks Liz to move in with him. What? These people just move extremely, extremely too fast, right? So Colty, who is now dating Vanessa, he was married to Larissa. Um, Colty takes Vanessa to Big Bear for a romantic getaway, and that man is sex crazed. He is really lucky to be in a relationship with Vanessa. And I guess he's like insisting that they have sex like 3 to 5 times a day. And it really seems to be a issue in their it gives me I don't even want to think about it. But it showed Colty all laid up on the bed, and I don't know. But then they go on a hike to the lake and stuff, and he has a cute little picnic, and then he's gonna fuck this up because he asks her to marry him. So next week we will get to see what she says. I will be shocked if she says yes. I'll just be honest. I'll be shocked, but I have to say I have been shocked that Ed has managing to make this thing happen with Liz. So we'll see, right? Fernanda, she moved to Miami and happened to get a roommate, which is a very nice looking boxer that is also single. So wonder how that's gonna play out. Brittany is still in Houston with the her collarbone and the little sling, but yet her mom came, she had the arm in a sling, and she was all still like moping around and stuff. But then her friend came over and her arm was feeling better and she had the sling off, and her friend twerked. So, and Brittany actually really, I mean, Brittany's got a cute little body on her, and she was really, really good at the twerking. Apparently, she used to teach people how to twerk in Miami. So, sure, that was a class full of white girls. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. So yeah, so Brittany, Molly, her man is there visiting her, and she's done stalked his ex-girlfriend on social media, found a picture of a kid and confronts him, is that your kid? So they've been dragging this storyline out for like 3 episodes now. Finally, he answers her and he says, no, it's not my kid. I would know if I had a kid. Oh, by the way, do you want to have my kid? So now he's going to start pressing Molly I mean, like, they don't even live together yet. How can you be asking for a whole kid and we hadn't even moved in together? Molly's 45. So she says that she doesn't want to have any more kids. And, I mean, honestly, at 45, who knows if it's even an option for them. But he said, well, I'm finally ready to settle down and have kids, and I want you to have them for me. So, if y'all leave me a comment and let me know what you think. If you did not want to have any more children and you met someone that you really, really loved, would you have a kid just to please your significant other? That's not can you rub my feet? Can you make me a sandwich? Like, that's a whole kid for 18 plus years. Kids are lots of money and lots of work. You have to be at the same place in your life for all that to line up. And Molly already has 2 kids, right? She has like one older daughter, I think, that's out of the house, and then a daughter that's like, I don't know, 10 to 12, so like she's out of the baby stage. She can see the finish line. So Danielle. Oh, Danielle. So, Danielle had went out to Oceanside or whatever, with her girlfriends looking for a man. And the guy that she went out with on the tiki bar boat floating tiki never called her back. Sonny, I think it's his name. Well, Sonny never called her back. But when she got back home to Ohio, she decided to get on a dating app, and she met someone. They messaged on the app, and then they went out on a first date. And I felt so, so bad for this woman, because she was like on a Zoom call with her 2 girlfriends, and she's like, well, I didn't tell y'all that I went out on a first date, but I got a second date, and do you know how long it's been? So apparently Danielle has went on a lot of first dates since her divorce, but no follow-up dates. So I don't know what she's doing to scare off these men, But we seen in this episode later on, actually, I'm going to answer my own question. We did see how she is scaring off the men. So on the second date, her and this new gentleman go axe throwing, which um the Snowdens had went axe throwing over on Seeking a Sister Wife. Definitely want to do that. It looks like so much fun. There's all kinds of places that have popped up in the past year that do it, and I would probably suck at it, but I definitely want to try it out. So her and this guy go axe throwing, and he's good at it, and she's not good at it, which works out because then he's like, "Oh, we'll hold it like this," and and so it's nice. And they sit down to talk a little bit, and she asks him, well, how long have you been divorced? Which is a wonderful question. I believe it's very important. It makes a difference. And he says, oh, I was married for 17 years. I've been divorced for about 10. Oh, that's great. That's great. So he's like, what about you? And she says, oh, well, I was with my kid's dad for 22 years or something. And then she starts talking about her ex-husband, the one that she was on 90 Day Fiancé with. And then she like starts crying. And then she goes on to tell him the mean stuff that her ex said about her, which has caused her insecurity to not really date. And it's real, no, like, first of all, why would you spend that much time talking about your exes? All he needs to know is I've been divorced for 2 years, right? That's all. Maybe a little bit later on, but yeah, talking about your exes is never sexy, and they just need to know, like, you are divorced, right? That's always important to ask. But you were married, but now you're divorced, right? And that divorce is final, and I can see those divorce papers if need be. If this should progress to the third date, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I felt so uncomfortable for her. I felt uncomfortable for the man because she gets up and she's crying and she's like, I've never had to tell. Like, you don't tell the new man that your ex said that you weren't any good in bed and you smelled. Like, why no? Like, why would you tell him that unless you're like warning him, unless you do smell, girl, and you know it, and so you're just giving him like a little heads up. Like, but no, like, why? I don't understand why you would ever. All you have to say, is like, hey, yeah, we've been divorced for 2 years. Maybe, like, hey, he really, um, you know, um, made me feel insecure or whatever. If you're like fishing for a compliment, but I don't understand why she would. It's not important, and I'll be interested to see if this man goes out with her again. It was just really, really awkward. It was awkward. Like, you already had to go through that once. You don't have to tell everyone you date that story. They don't want to hear it, right? So we'll see. Will Liz move in with Ed? Will Danielle get a third date? I don't know. But what I do know is that we'll talk about it next week. So make sure you come back. And remember, do something nice for yourself and do something nice for someone else. Y'all have a great night.